Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review You Cannot Kill David Arquette. And this is a new documentary recounting David Arquette's return to pro wrestling. And being a pro wrestling fan for a decent chunk of my life, this really caught my attention, and I remember David Arquette winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship and everybody hating it and hating him for it. And it was somebody coming in, the celebrity winning the biggest prize, one of the biggest prizes in pro wrestling. And it kind of just felt like a slap in the face. And it's interesting because this documentary does deal with that perspective and that legacy and that bad taste in the mouths of wrestling fans that David Arquette has to overcome. Which, it's an interesting parallel because he had that similar bad taste left in everybody's mouths from acting perspective too, because a lot of people just thought he was a joke because of the Scream performances from Ready to Rumble, and they didn't take him seriously. And then for years now, David Arquette's just kind of been floating around. I've seen him in 2 films this year, actually. 2099, The Soldier Protocol, which wasn't really a fan of, and then Spree, which he did a fine job in his role as the father in that film. This particular film is so raw and just in it about him. You get these different perspectives from pro wrestlers and his family. So like you hear from Rosanna Arquette, Patricia Arquette, Courtney Cox a little bit, but mostly his wife. And you really get to sense of watching this man who at some points might feel like he's dealing with some depression and doing this out of an erratic choice to go back into pro wrestling after all these years and never really being a true pro wrestler. But it's interesting seeing him overcome that label and that cynicism of the wrestling community, because you have to do a lot as a celebrity to really make it in pro wrestling and not just come off as some kind of just person trying to make something off of pro wrestling. And you see this incredible journey from a mess of a man, where there's moments where it's so hard to watch him get hurt and fail, and it's so uncomfortable because he's so raw and he lets it all out there. And it's hard to watch him feeling so much failure. But then you get to see him triumph and really make something of himself. And this honestly made me feel as inspired and just pumped as some of the best sports movies out there. This really is a Cinderella kind of story where he's still wrestling. And he's doing a really fine job. And from wrestling fans, like, he's not the most impressive pro wrestler. He doesn't have the biggest range of what he can do. But he's going out there having effective matches with a lot of big-name people. And it was an inspiring journey. And this documentary has the edge, the personality to it, and really captures that story. I loved this. This was a great documentary. I was really shocked. And I know my friend from Sif Pop Awesome really pushed me to make sure that I saw this one. I do see everything, but like sometimes things fall through the cracks. Glad that he really reinforced this one because I'm really glad I watched it. This was a great film. And I highly recommend you going to check out You Cannot Kill David Arquette. There are some really tough, violent moments where you might have to look away during a couple of his matches, but in general, this is a really inspiring story. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think of Let's Talk Some Movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.